speaking of politicians, you know, that are a disappointment, AOC. AOC is somebody that, like, I was a huge fan of. Like, seriously, like, I was like, wow, she's awesome. You know, she was a bartender.
She was our number
great.
one progressive.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
running.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in 2016, like, if you say, who's your number one ranked person that can come in and go into Congress, we were all crazy about AOC.
New person coming in because,
new person,
yeah.
New person,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? New potential freshman.
For
and who
sure.
she was taking out was really important too as well. Joe Crowley,
I mean,
next in line for Nancy Pelosi.
She's not Joe Crowley. I mean, she's not, you know, one of these like absolutely horrible politicians yet. But what I say yet because it only took 2 years to actually shift and start selling out. We saw it with Venezuela and her pro-imperialist stances on foreign policy. We saw it with her inability to go after Nancy Pelosi. I mean, endorse her, fall in line, call her mama bear. I mean, all these things are things she's saying. And then her like focus on the Republican Party only without calling out the people that are like the gatekeepers in the Democratic Party. And so it's been these situations that have led people to be like, start questioning her, understandably so, because even if you like somebody, you have to hold them accountable. And so recently, AOC endorsed Jerry Nadler, okay? And she said, he's respected and admired by progressives. No, he's not. I'm glad to have Jerry as a friend, a colleague, and a partner in every fight, and I am proud to endorse him. And she also said, whether the issue is climate change and the Green New Deal, universal health care, Medicare for all, or the kind of policies that will reduce income inequality in America, Jerry Nadler is there. So a lot of people are
Alex Knight just tagged Jimmy Dore. Look at this.
The transformation is complete, somebody said. And you know, a lot of people were going after her, etc. But Pasta, who is Jerry Nadler, and why are people so upset that she endorsed him?
Well, I mean, I put a little video up here just to show you who this clown is. You know what kind of Democrats I hate more than anything. So let's just look. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry that I can only find the one off Fox and Friends, because let me tell you what Google is doing right now when it comes to hiding. You talked about hiding.
Yeah.
Politicians hiding. Well, Google is assisting them. When you try to look up something simple, you have to go through so much gibberish just to find what you're looking for. And a lot of videos were taken down. This video right here was taken down from YouTube from 3 different spots.
Yep.
Right here. And it's nothing simple. It's, once again, they're just trying to keep quiet. No news is good news for the Democratic Party if they can hide all their votes, all their rhetoric, all their narratives, all their bullshit. And a narrative like this just shows you how dangerous this man is. Take a look at this.
States by a hostile foreign power. This was a very serious attack against the United States by a hostile foreign power, an attack against our election process, our entire governing process. We know that the attack is continuing. The president and the Republicans in the House, for that matter, refuse to do anything about protecting us from an attack. Imagine if FDR had denied that the Japanese attacked us at Pearl Harbor and didn't react. That's the equivalent.
Viewers can look up on Urban Dictionary what dog walking someone means.
Now, Tommy Lauren, but you heard it. Can you imagine, John, if FDR didn't react to the Japanese bomb in Pearl Harbor? That's the equivalent. And this guy was one of the Russia gators through and through.
Oh, yeah.
I said Jerry Nadler is the Adam Schiff of fucking New York. Excuse my French for cursing, Mom. Sorry, Mom. But once again, Jerry Nadler is the Adam Schiff of New York. This guy, he also was one of the reauthorizations of the Patriot Act, which was called the Freedom Act. And you know, this is the thing that's kind of confusing for him. The reason why I brought this particular article up, if we go to the second paragraph, Johnny, it says the act sponsored by the prominent New York Democratic Jerry Nadler. Now remember, the Freedom Act is just the Patriot Act revised. It's the same thing. Jerry kind of did his little drama in Congress. We shouldn't be storing the data. In other words, he was talking about storing the data. But who cares about who's storing the data when they can look through all the fucking data anyways? They can still look through everything just because they don't keep it stored. You know what I'm saying? That was his whole... The act sponsored by the prominent New York Democrat Jerry Nadler passed 284 to 122, despite the efforts of prominent progressives, hashtag, like AOC, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, Pramila who opposed it. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, urged her fellow Democrats to vote on the legislation. They're claiming that if we don't have a bill, then our civil liberties are less protected. So this is what they're talking. If we can't have the ability to spy on you,
then our civil liberties are just under the water.
That's what these people are. That's what these Debbie Wasserman Schultz, these Nancy Pelosi's, these Chuck Schumers, these Adam Schiffs, these Jerry Nadlers. They constantly regurgitate CIA talking points. And this is the person. Now, you're against the bill, so this is just theatrics then. Because you're going to go there and you're going to stand behind the man?
Right. This is what they do. And this is what AOC started doing with the CARES Act. She started going off and saying this is wrong and then standing behind it. Right? And so we put her in there to be opposition to these people, not fall in line. And she's falling in line. So I don't know if you guys are mad, but you should be. Because just on that alone, to fall in line with people like Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler, what the fuck is the point of electing progressives into Congress and calling them progressive and doing all this shit and donating to their campaigns if they're going to do the same thing that Nancy Pelosi's doing, except they're going to say they're so against it, and at the end of the day they're still going to stand behind it, and then they're going to go and endorse the non-progressive candidate instead of the progressive ones. I mean, none of these people have endorsed Shahid Buttar. None of these people have endorsed Jen Perlman. None of these people have endorsed any of progressive, Joshua Collins. None of these people have endorsed. Why? At the very least, endorse the progressive. Yeah. She said she would. She said she was going to endorse progressives against incumbents. That's not what's happening here.
Lied. They let Sema Hernandez out to dry. They left her out to dry, Sema Hernandez.
She endorsed her freaking fake opponent who lost terribly because she was awful.
Yeah. Well.
And then, of course, Bernie Sanders comes in with like 1986 Bernie would punch this Bernie because, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So smack him in the face, huh?
Yeah. So you guys know Joshua Collins is running in Washington, and people have been asking Bernie, they've been asking AOC, they've been asking a lot of people to endorse Joshua, or even just don't endorse if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah, but why don't they do that? Why didn't AOC just shut her fucking mouth, say I'm not endorsing any Mom, sorry. She just want to just shut her mouth and just not endorse anybody. Just shut up. Just don't do nothing.
So Bernie said in a tweet, he endorsed Beth Doglio, and he said she helped lead the passage of legislation in Washington state to provide more resources to address homelessness and to empower workers. She is no stranger to taking on powerful corporations such as Amazon. We need her leadership on progressive issues in Congress. So also Pramila Jayapal endorsed her, but I just want to point out she just had and I'm just going to show the website, but she was just currently scheduled to speak at this event sponsored by Shell and VP. She takes fossil fuel money, and she took it during this last election. So again, right? You talk about climate change, Bernie.
Look at the prices.
We want I know the prices are out of control.
Ridiculous.
We want a Green New Deal. We want climate change. We want, and Joshua told me all this, but also people in Washington have said she's not for Medicare for all. She says she's open to it in the future. This is the rhetoric they use to get progressives to support them. And we're talking about, climate change here. How the hell are we going to combat climate change when you're taking oil money? I'm so sorry, Bernie, but this is just bullshit. How are you going to say you want a Green New Deal when you're supporting a candidate that takes oil money and it does paid sponsorships for BP and Shell, one of the biggest oil companies in the world? I mean, we're talking oil is one of the number one things that is keeping us from relying on new technology, whether it's wind power, whether it's solar power, whether it's hemp, whatever it is. Oil is our dependence on it is also pushing us towards wars. It's pushing our imperialism into other countries. How are you going to say that you are going to stand behind that? And I mean, like I said, if you don't know about Joshua Collins or you don't agree or he's too leftist for you, then don't endorse anybody. But I don't understand the point of endorsing a person that is really embedded in oil money. And, Jason Call's opponent, too, another one in Washington state that was heavily embedded with oil money. And they happen to be pro-war. Remember Adam Smith as well.
Yeah, Pramila
Pramila Jayapal, yeah.
You know, Jayapal endorsing her over Sarah Smith just was so, that was years ago and that hurt so much. But it's the same type of shit going on. I mean, it's like, you know, Bernie was, he was done with the movement. Yeah. He let everybody down. He was walking away. It's like he's turning back around and giving you another kick while you're fucking down. Yeah. It's just terrible. It's just a shame to see this going on. And the state of the Democratic Party where we're at, all these elections. I mean, I think it's just so ironic that, you know, progressives' #1 issue is Medicare for all and a Green New Deal. Yeah. And yet they're putting forth a candidate in Joe Biden who said he'll veto Medicare for all and took fracking money in the beginning of his campaign.
Is going to continue taking fracking money.
Yeah, was the vice president for the fracker-in-chief. Said nothing for Standing Rock and any of that shit went around. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
And speaking of Democrats and Republicans, you know, we're constantly told.
Or leftists and rightists.
We're constantly told, fam,
yes.
That we need to vote for Joe Biden because of the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because Joe Biden is going to appoint better Supreme Court judges, because our Ruth Bader Ginsburg is you know, she's on her last leg and she's ready to go, and so we need to vote for Joe Biden just because of that. You know, not attacking the root problem that we shouldn't have. They should have term limits, for crying out loud, right? But I always come back with, why do you assume that Joe Biden is going to appoint a better judge than Donald Trump? I mean, they're both throughout history, they've been appointing conservative judges in general.
Yeah.
And now the queen, the RBG, the woman that a lot of us have looked up to when we were younger as women, she was a Supreme Court judge. She led the fight. She was a feminist, all of these things. In the Supreme Court, this is by Robbie Jager, who does wonderful research. Neil Gorsuch ruled in favor of LGBT and discrimination protection. So the Republican conservative guy that I'm not a huge fan of at all, ruled in favor to protect the LGBT community from discrimination, because remember, that was pushed by the really right-wing end of the Republican Party, and he ruled against that. He said, no, we're going to protect these people. Simultaneously, Ruth Bader Ginsburg ruled in favor of running an oil pipeline through a national park, and this would be through the Appalachian Mountains. You know, as if our earth isn't already contaminated, as if we don't already have such reliance on oil. Hence why I'm so pissed at AOC and Bernie for supporting these pro-oil people. Because again, you talk about a Green New Deal, you talk about climate change. Why the hell does it matter if I vote for Trump or Biden if Democrats are also supporting oil pipelines?
Dude,
so
look at that.
The world's upside down. We have the Democrat voting to for big oil to build their pipelines, and then we have the Republican voting to protect the LGBTQ community, right?
Yep. Look at the Noel U. Johns, Johnny. Do you see that one with that guy sliding through?
It's different.
Oh my God! Come on, you got to put. When there's a fat guy there, you gotta put a fat guy to get.
Pasta just relates.
You gotta. Come on, please.
Do you want to slip inside?
There it is. Like, he goes there on a roll. Woo!
Yeah.
I could do something like that.
I think they thought that nobody was going to notice because we're all dealing with the pandemic, economic collapse. We're dealing with an election. We're dealing with possible war. We're just going to slide this in here, RBG. Queen RBG. Like, come on, man.